Hello everyone, my name is Melissa.
And I'm Ellie.
And if you are a Bookbound Pod listener, we actually are from the L.A.M.E Book Club podcast.
And if you are from the L.A.M E Book Club podcast, we are Miriam
and Elise
from Bookbound Besties podcast. Can't even get it right.
But we are so excited to all be collaborating together today. We have really fun topics in store. We're going to be going over hot takes when it comes to tropes, and then also controversial takes on them and as well. We have some big opinions, I'm sure, but it's honestly just going to be like a really fun conversation between friends and besties. So with that, we will go ahead and jump on in. Ellie, do you want to start with your first controversial trope?
Yes. Okay. I have a long list of tropes I hate, but I will start with one that I do not hate as much, but truly don't love it. And that is the mentor. And so I know.
Oh no.
I know.
My heart is breaking already.
I'm not I'm not a fan of like a sage old person knowing more things and being overly involved, because I feel like I like a main character that just goes out and tries and makes mistakes and then makes things better and then does better. And so often I feel like the mentor is like, you're not ready, just hold on. And then they always die, which is always heartbreaking, but very predictable. And I don't even want to do it.
Yeah. I was going to jump in and ask you, the first thing that popped into my mind, also, girls, keep in mind, Elise just got to the you do not yield part of Kingdom of Ash, so she has not finished Throne of Glass.
Okay.
No spoilers.
Noted.
Okay.
Thank you.
I immediately thought of Rowan and Aelin.
Rowan! Yes! Heir of Fire!
Yeah. So mentor, that's like the basis of one of the best relationships in books. But then you said the word about the mentor dying, and I was like, okay, fine. But he is several hundred years older than her.
Tell me why fair. When I wrote The Mentor, all I'm picturing is like Luke Skywalker and Yoda, and I hate that. Throw it away.
All right.
It's not for me.
So, Miriam, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's why I said, oh no, because I too thought Rowan at first.
What?
And I was, yes, because he is
no, it makes sense, but my mind doesn't go there. He's the lover. He's not the teacher in my head. So I get it. I get it.
I would and mentor box either. Like, you're right though, but I really would be like, no, I'm beyond that, I guess.
Yeah,
that's lover. So funny.
We've moved on. He's just an equal now.
Fair. I think I'll never separate the two, because I didn't know this when first reading the series, but I've since learned that Sarah didn't originally intend for Rowan to be the love interest. And so I didn't know that until recently.
It was supposed to be Dorian.
Yeah.
It was supposed, yes.
You see, that would have worked.
No,
and
it wouldn't have worked, and you don't know why yet.
But that's why they were cousins, and it was okay initially, and then it got weird when, like, granted, distant cousins, but
very distantly related, Melissa. Come on.
Here's what cracks me up, though. I'm like, all right, I get it. Like, that wasn't your plan. You changed it mid whatever. I don't know. She had to have known probably by the end of the book that was the direction that they were going in. So I'm like, why wouldn't you have just gone back and just taken that sentence out? Truly, if we had taken that out, I don't think anyone would really have thought too much about it. But she left it. And that is something I will think about forever.
Which sentence? Sorry?
The sentence that they're distantly related. But I feel like there's a reason. Like, I think Maeve, I'm trying to like say this without spoiling too much, but I'm pretty sure there was a reason
that they were related.
Yeah, that like it was important that they be. Oh no, never mind. This is something I cannot say.
Fair enough.
We'll talk later, because I'm not remembering like why. And I forget so much. I say this all the time. There's only so much that can stay up here, and other things just have to get booted. But it doesn't, I mean, whatever, it isn't. All that to say, that is why initially I thought Rowan when you said mentor, because now I'll always think of him as mentor turned lover, not lover enemies to lovers, because that wasn't, even though that ended up being what it is, that wasn't her initial intention.
Yeah.
That
makes sense.
And then when you started
enemies to lovers.
Yeah. I mean
that's as close as it's gonna get.
Yeah, they did have that. I mean, honestly, yeah, it was. They were mean to each other at the beginning. Like, really, it was bad. It was really bad. But
I loved it. It was terrible, but I'm like, all right, full send. Let's do this, Sarah.
I loved the full send. I loved that they committed to the bit of like we're enemies, and the whole book they were enemies, and it was like just barely friends at the end, barely. Yeah. And I really loved that. Like I thought they were gonna end up in love by the end, but it was a slow burn. So I liked that a lot.
Yeah, no, I like the slow burn too because I found the way their relationship developed was really unique in terms of in books and stuff, like the way they related to each other, and they really actually built a relationship before becoming lovers, which was we see often. So.
That is true.
Yep.
To circle back to what you said though, Ellie, after that was my initial thought, and then when you started talking about how you're like, they're always sage and older. Tell me why I hate myself. Tell me why my first thought after that was Master Oogway from Kung Fu Panda.
I do love Master Oogway, but outside of him, it does not do it for me when there's a mentor involved.
He was the turtle. That was Oogway, right?
Yeah, and guess what?
Okay, good.
Spoiler alert, if you haven't watched all the Kung Fu Pandas, he dies. They all die.
All die.
Oh man. All right, I'll let you get back to it. That just made me laugh. I was like, not Master Oogway.
That's all I've got for this one. Who's next?
All right.
I'll go.
Yeah, you go. Elise's is, I really cannot wait to hear what you guys think about this.
I'm excited.
Honestly, I've been wanting to make a video about this to like post, but then I'm so scared of how the internet's going to feel about it. Because it's one of the most common things in books, I've come to realize. But I
full send. Say it.
Say it with your chest.
Yeah. I don't like fated mates.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I need to hear your reasonings for this. I'll be open-minded.
Just popped out of their song.
So I guess I am pretty new to the fantasy world, but
you're a year in.
I'm a year in. But the first time I was introduced to it, my reaction was like, oh, that takes away from the relationship. And basically because I was buying into this relationship that was blooming and they were falling in love and I was falling in love with them falling in love. And then when it was revealed that you're fated mates, I didn't like it. And I tried to figure out why. And the best reason I could come up with is that it feels like the world gave them like a love potion so that they are everything, all the attraction and the pull they have towards each other is all because of this magic. And then it made me question if that magic wasn't there, how real would this be? How deep would this be? Like, there's just the fact that it's all because of magic made me just like feel like, wait, how real is it actually?
Do you want to say what couple spawned this? Because I feel like that is.
If you say Reese and Farah, my heart might break.
Oh yeah, I mean, she just described Akatar falling in love with them. Yeah. I see your points, but I raise you. This sounds to me like you're not fully committed to loving fantasy yet. And is that too hot of a take?
Ooh. It's pretty much
because that's so real world of like.
That's true.
Well, I also, though, I do hate when it's like, oh, we chalk it up to magic. So I guess that is like a branch of that.
Yeah.
So
I'm also like, I don't love like the love at first sight. Like, I guess it takes a lot for me to buy into love and like want to root for love. Like, it needs to be real. And it was just that idea just made me like hesitate. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. But like, do they feel this way because they actually feel this way, or they feel this way because of this magic spell? You know, not that it's a spell, but it feels comparable.
My argument was that's why Reese waited so long to tell her that they were mates, because he wanted her to actually develop feelings for him or have her feelings go from that hatred and that fear and all of those negative emotions that she had associated with him.
But he was constantly being pulled towards her and had visions of her and everything. Like, he's been pushed towards her because of this.
Yeah.
So you're worried that he would not have loved her had it not been for the fated mate bond, but she actually had the chance to fall in love with him because she was unaware of it?
I guess so. I guess when you put it that way.
I don't know.
I will say too, you just hopefully to maybe I desperately want you to like this. Hopefully. I don't think this will change your mind.
We're trying to buy you back into the fantasy side of things.
Come back. No, it's, you can reject a mating bond too. And because, like, I guess slight spoiler if you haven't read Akawar, which I'm assuming you've read the whole series at this point. Correct? Okay, perfect. Reese makes a comment in there when it's right after Elaine gets to the House of Wind, and Nesta and they're all just like freshly made and trying to like understand what is happening, on top of understanding what Lucian was saying immediately after she fell out of the cauldron. Literally the worst timing. And Reese says, he explains to Nesta and Elaine that like mating bonds are cauldron given, and they aren't always reciprocated. Like, it is still a choice. So while you might feel, I think one person feels the pull more than others in certain situations, but there has to be like an element of still like real feelings and falling in love, and you have to accept it. The mating bond doesn't officially click into place until it's acknowledged and accepted. So I think it might give you like an edge because, like you said, like that draw is there where it might not be otherwise. But the official mating bond doesn't snap into place until it's accepted, as far as my understanding of them.
Sure, that is a great argument. And I guess I just like, if I wake up thinking about someone, I want to know that I woke up thinking about them because of me, not because of the cauldron, you know?
Okay, but
true. Very true.
I raise you, and this is a spoiler for Empire Storms.
Okay.
And Aelin and Rowan.
True.
So I realize that this is a trope that is in everything, and I will not get away from it.
You cannot escape.
My reaction to that was less reactive because I was like, I already knew. Like, I now at this point, I just assume when there is love, it will be a bond.
Well, what I mean to say is, in this case, Aelin knew about the bond way earlier than Rowan did. And Rowan, this was kind of a role reversal because Rowan had to be the one to kind of accept it or be aware of it or whatever. And that's when the bond clicked into place.
Yeah.
Because Maeve did some dirty deeds for sure.
There was some mind work afoot, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. But then at the end of the day, like, is it because of the bond? Is that what brought them together? You know, I don't know.
No, they hated each other at first. They really had to work for whatever emotion they had.
Well, and she was sent there she wasn't even supposed to end up at Mistward. She was supposed to go to Wendland. Whatever.
But on Elisa's side of things, am I falling to Elisa's side? What's happening?
Ellie.
On her side, though, why did Aelin and Rowan ever meet at all? Why did their paths cross? There's, assuming it's similar to our world, 7 billion people on the planet. Why were they in the same vicinity? Why was he assigned? Like, there's fate
I can tell you why.
at play here.
Maeve.
Yeah.
Because she was looking for Maeve. Maeve knew that she was looking for her, and Maeve sent the cadre. Maeve knew that they were mates.
But Maeve already knew that they were mates too. So just all that to say, Maeve even included. Why was this whole group part of Aelin's story? Because of fate. The whole thing happened because of fate.
Well, that's all those threads, right, that she always talks about through the whole series. So, I mean, the concept of fate generally, and like a bigger picture or a bigger story, is always at play in all of these books.
Yeah.
So I guess if you accept that, you have to accept the fact that fate will come into play, you know, when it comes to finding your mate.
I guess, like, what if the bond wasn't there? Like,
they fell in love before they knew that the bond was there.
Sorry, who?
Rowan and Aelin.
Who are we talking about?
Remember the gold nightgown? They were in love.
Yeah. Did Aelin not know it?
That's so funny.
You what?
Did
Aelin not know at that point?
No, Aelin didn't know at that point. She only knew, Aelin knew when, I think it was Asterin who shot her shot Rowan with an arrow.
Yes,
and she
that.
So that was after.
Okay.
Was it after?
It was not long after, but it was because they had already left her, like, quote unquote apartment.
Yes.
In
but
this?
Yeah.
is a great segue, because I would like to yet again pitch this book to any potential author listening. Please use it, run with it. I want it so bad. I want there to be fated mates, but prior to fated mates, like one person fell in love with someone and they want so badly to reject that fated mating situation because they still want to be in love, but then fate takes over and they can't help it. They end up falling in love with the other person and it's a tragedy in the end.
Well, Miss
Ellie,
have you not seen all of the theories about Elaine and Azriel?
Oh, I sure have.
So
I'm all for it.
Your answer, or
SJM, if you're listening, please.
Ellie is a tragedy girly. If a book not makes her cry, but if a book ends sad, she's happy.
I love it. I eat that up. No crumbs.
That's funny.
I relate.
I know, me neither.
I will enjoy a sad book from time to time, but not all the time.
No. I like romance books because there's a happy ever after.
I read romance to escape the world. Why would I want to read something sad?
Absolutely.
That's my thought process.
I like a twist.
And beautiful, like that's fine. I can get on board with that. Like I just finished the Belladonna series, and
I've heard such great things.
Incredible. Do the audiobook 1000%.
Okay.
Ooh.
I did not expect to get teary multiple times, but I
Cannot
did.
wait.
The ending was so beautiful. I mean, I filmed an unhinged book review and ugly cried on the internet.
Love that.
It's this thing that happens a lot.
It is a thing that happens a lot.
I'm sure being pregnant didn't help.
I put up a story. I said, please, like other people who have read this book, is it just the hormones or was the ending actually worth crying? And a lot of people are like, no, the ending was worth crying. It was really emotional. I was like, okay, good.
That's awesome.
I'm very excited to read that series. And truly, this is just pushing it up my TBR, this conversation.
Yeah, it was really great. It was super unique. It was and it's perfect for spooky season. So highly recommend.
Excellent.
We're in Christmas now. I don't know if you remember.
I know. Sorry, fair.
After midnight on the 31st.
Yeah, I don't know if you
Santa
remember.
Claus
It's
is coming to town.
It's November 6th. The Christmas tree is up.
I cannot wait to move and put up my Christmas tree. Justin said I could have multiple.
Oh.
Yeah. Yay. One for every room. That's my rule of thumb.
Yeah, very, very excited.
I am sad that is your... I respect your opinions, but I'm sad for them.
I think I've changed. I think I'm with Elise.
No, Ellie! What happened?
Wild.
All right.
Sorry for ruining.
Says the girl who at first is like, I think it's because you're new to fantasy.
Exactly.
I think...
Are you new to fantasy, Ellie?
I think I could be. I'm with it. I just don't know about all that. Anyways, say yours.
So my controversial take is one that I love, but I also love to hate it. And so hear me out. This is like a hear me out cake, I guess. Grumpy Sunshine is mine. And I love it so much, but I'm almost always let down by it because I feel like I am an enigma. I really like fantasy books, and obviously fantasy books are not real. But I demand that there be realistic aspects to them. And so that's where the Grumpy Sunshine, I think, loses me, because people either make them like way too grumpy or way too sunshine. And so I desperately want to like it, and when it's done well, I swoon. But I feel like, and I guess quick spoilers, I won't get too into it. It's really not gonna be a spoiler, but it does talk about, like, I guess, character descriptions for Powerful by Lauren Roberts. Have you guys read that series?
No, I didn't read. Powerful was the novella, right?
Uh-huh.
I skipped the novella.
Okay, that's fine. I think that's okay. I would say go back and read it before the third book, because I think there's like parts of it that will influence the story in the third book. But so I'm not spoiling the story, but it's definitely a Grumpy Sunshine trope. The novella is actually about Adina that we know from book one. And then there's a new love interest that's introduced, and he's grumpy. It's just like, it lost me. She was acting like a 12-year-old girl, lovesick, who had like never experienced life before, and he was so angry and I don't want to say no reason. I mean, like, he had backstory, but like, it wasn't that tragic. And I don't know. I just, it like the whole story truly was lost for me because I didn't like how polar opposite they were. Like there wasn't any element of realism in my opinion. And then same for the book. It's Lucy's Score. What is it? Things we hide. Things we hide in the dark or something. I'm forgetting the title.
Things
or
we
things
do in the dark.
No, Things Left Unseen or something like whatever. It's blue and there's daisies on it and people are probably yelling at their whatever device they're listening this on because I'm not saying it right. But there's a Grumpy Sunshine trope for that book too. And that one is even harder for me too because it's not fantasy. It's just romance. And I'm like, no one is this mean. Like no one is like this. And maybe that's my lack of worldview speaking. I don't know. But like, I've met some mean people before and no one is that mean all the time. Like, and on the flip side, no one who is not that mean puts up with it. Like the girl, I will say the girl wasn't crazy over the top, which I did appreciate, but like no one puts up with that. No one normal would be like, I don't know, maybe he loves me. Like it's just, so my one example of when it's done well though was a lead in Lorcan in the Throne of Glass series. And I'm not going to say anything about the ending, knowing that you haven't finished Kingdom of Ash, but like, you know where they're at, like at this point. And like watching that, oh my word, that like the way Sarah wrote those should be the blueprint for all authors with Grumpy Sunshine. Like it was definitely grumpy and she definitely was optimistic, but it was so realistic. Like I could see a couple like that in real life. Like that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I have a bone to pick with it, even though I love it, that trope.
Okay, I'll give you another Grumpy Sunshine that I think was done well.
Okay.
And I'm going to use code names because Elise has not read the series yet. But Day and Night, I felt like...
Yeah.
See, I didn't feel like that one was Grumpy Sunshine. That one was giving more Black Cat Golden Retriever for me.
Oh, okay. Which is kind of parallel.
Wait, I'm confused because I feel like it's the same.
No. Well, obviously, it's also... No, it's flipped. Grumpy Sunshine is when the male is grumpy and the female is sunshine. It's actually funny that you bring that up because I wrote that down.
That's what it was.
Well, I'm not saying it always, for me, like this is how I differentiate it. I'm probably wrong, but like, because you're right, like Black Cat Golden Retriever is very similar, but it's usually the woman is the black cat and the Golden Retriever is the man. And so to me, it's flipped. And this might be like, I'm absolutely contradicting myself. Big fan of Black Cat Golden Retriever. Almost always, because I love what you said, codenames, Day and Night, 100%. So I don't know, maybe it's just me. I think I'm the problem, but that's my hot take on, I guess, Grumpy Sunshine specifically. I don't know, maybe it is because I read for romance, like Miriam, like you were saying, like I want happy endings, and generally there is a happy ending with Grumpy Sunshine, and I get that, but like I don't know. I want a girl. I want what's every girl wants, like the boy that's always going to be there, and the one who's like, no matter how sad or upset you are, they're always going to pick you up. Like that's Black Cat Golden Retriever more. And so I think maybe that's why I get upset with Grumpy Sunshine, because it's the opposite.
What though? I hear what you're saying, because I feel like in the like whenever Grumpy Sunshine is not done well, it kind of feels like that toxic when a boy bullies you, he likes you. And I feel like it's such a negative message to be pushing. And we 100% love to read these books, these romance books or these fantasy books, because they're written by women for women. And so we want to see somewhat healthy relationships that are being portrayed. And so whenever you see a Grumpy Sunshine being done well, you're like, oh, okay, this makes sense. Like I can actually get on board with this. I can see how they could make this relationship work in the long term. Whereas when it's too much of a disparity, you're like, this is never gonna last. I can't buy into this.
Yep. I love that explanation. That's exactly how I feel.
You nailed it. That's it. It's like, I can't buy into this because like you said, like it wouldn't work out. And back to my contradicting brain, like I said, I recognize this is a fantasy book, but it has to be realistic enough for me to follow. And I'm like, you lost me if it's not, like you said, if it's not gonna work out. Like, so you nailed it. That's it. That's my issue with Grumpy Sunshine, when it's not done well. But when it is done well, when it airs more, Black Cat Golden Retriever, big fan, Lorcan in a lead. 11 out of 10.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So fine.
I think it goes for like any character, if their personality isn't believable or feels too forced, like, you lost me. Like, I'm not going to be rooting for them. I'm not going to want to read about them. So I
exactly.
Oh, Miriam, what you got?
I'm actually scared to say this, but I'm
excited.
Don't hate the pregnancy trope. I don't hate it.
That
Do
is
pray tell.
Super hot fire take.
I just think that if you're reading a long-term series, like if you listen, I understand that Farah, for example, if we do ACOTAR, and ACOTAR spoilers, I'm sure everybody who's listening has already read the whole series, but I understand that Farah had said, oh, I want like more time with you before we start a family, blah, blah, blah. But then she had this hugely traumatic thing that happened to her, and she's like, YOLO, and she wants to have a baby. And so it's normal that if you're reading a series that follows the same couple for an extended period of time, granted, I understand that in a lot of fantasy series, the timeline is condensed, but whatever. It's normal for most couples that the next step after being committed or getting married or whatever is to have a baby. Like, I just don't think it's that crazy. I know it's not for everyone, but like, I don't have a visceral hatred for it the way a lot of people do.
Yeah, I think, and I'm gonna speak on behalf of everyone in the world right now. No, I'm just kidding. But I think my issue with it, and like specifically because I will say I've read one book where there was a pregnancy trope that it didn't actually bother me at all. I actually enjoyed it, and I can mention that in a second. But like specifically the ACOTAR issue, it's like it completely changed who the characters were. While I actually will say that is so realistic, because having 2 kids of my own, like, I can say being a parent does change you, like, molecularly. But that doesn't mean I want to read about it.
To defend myself, I will say that I completely agree that the way the pregnancy came about and all of the things surrounding the pregnancy, not a fan. But the pregnancy itself, like, whenever people say, oh, like, I hate the pregnancy trope, or you've lost me at the pregnancy trope, or whatever, like, no. I would love to read a book where the female main character fell pregnant and then was still as awesome, you know, in a different way. Like you said, it does change you.
I think that is actually, and I have to tread carefully because I am sans children, but I think that is where people lose their minds with pregnancy tropes, is because so often that's where the character's story typically ends. Yeah. Like, then it moves on to the next person. So, like, when you see the pregnancy trope, you know, well, they're not going to go off and fight battles because now they have something more important to be at home with. So they're not going to, you know, and especially in fantasy, like, it's one thing if you're reading a romance, because that is where the next step leads to. And then that's the new story, and that's awesome. But when it's fantasy, you're like, so are you not going to use your bat wings to fly into battle anymore? Because we're
I want to say
doing other things.
I don't want to spoil it for Elise, but there is a character who...
Don't say it.
Okay.
Don't say it.
I know what you're saying. I know what it is.
You know?
Like, that didn't... But that was, like, at the very end. So it's like...
Well, yeah, but... it didn't stop any bad
True.
Yeah, I think people just don't like seeing the characters they fall in love with, like, change
or shrink.
What you were saying.
Yeah.
I remember when, I don't know if it was in the books or the movies, but the epilogue of Harry Potter, like, people were mad seeing Harry, Ron, and Hermione as adults with children.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
People were mad about it because they
actually loved that.
Well, me too. Which some people loved it, and that's fine. And like, I don't remember like hating it or anything. I was also a kid. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
But I remember hearing about people being really mad because they're like, we don't want to picture our heroes old with children living a mundane life. We want to picture our heroes living this heroic, epic life.
Yeah, you want to start the book over again.
Like
we want our heroes to be 11. I'm just kidding. I'm using Harry Potter as a specific example. I hear what you're right though.
Okay, I don't know. I mean, listen, I don't know how this is going to go down, but like Bella did save her entire family in Breaking Dawn whilst being a mother with her magical powers that actually like grew and evolved once she became a vampire. So
hard argument to use.
Yes.
Prepare to be destroyed. No, I'm just kidding.
I will say, if Twilight is your evidence, I don't know how strong your argument is. But that's okay, because that is its own entity, and that's fine.
Renesmee,
we love it for what it is.
I think Renesmee is where everyone started the, like, I think I hate the pregnancy trope.
That's so fair.
I think that's like the first book any of us read with one of our main characters becoming pregnant after reading about their epic adventure, and we're like, this kid kind of
but Bella was also pretty useless pre-Breaking Dawn.
So true.
So that's what I'm saying. I mean, the bar is low, granted, but like we didn't have far, to go. But
so fair.
It did raise a tiny bit.
Also, there's just a recklessness, I think, that happens with characters without children. Like they care for their significant other, but there's no consideration for like, I have more responsibilities than just this. So like, even like them falling in love, like they're not going to passionately make out if their kid is in the next room or like in the room with them,
Amen.
So it stops a lot of scenes. And that's maybe why people are like, it changes the dynamic. It just changes, might not change the character completely, but it changes the situation.
Yeah.
So we make baby number 2.
Exactly.
Not with baby number 1 in the room.
Yeah. Baby number 1 is not an active participant in that.
All right.
Wow, that was a take though. That is fun.
I knew it'd be when we suggested a controversial trope. I went for it.
Yeah.
My next one is going to drive everybody upset and crazy. So prepare yourselves. Hold on to your butts. This one is called, I'm so sorry, the One Bed Trope.
Funny. I was just.
Do you have that
Who are
one?
you?
I read a Reddit before doing the episode, like in a bit preparation, and people were complaining about it because it's so overused.
It's okay. It's overused.
That
yes,
I will give,
but for me, what I will actually say about this is, I feel like this one ties into miscommunication for me, because if we were open with our feelings, then we wouldn't need to be forced into a room to confront our feelings. You would just be in the room to be in the room with the person you love. You wouldn't have to be like, no, we're in this inn and they only have one bed left.
Huh. You know what?
Also, side note,
ties into what I was saying about the scenting of arousal, and people were saying, well, it's because they can't communicate very well, so the scenting of arousal does that communication for them. Okay, you know what? Continue.
Oh wait, could we go so far as to say the fated mates are because people can't communicate?
Maybe
it forces them to talk.
See it.
Is this really what ultimately the problem is? Miscommunication's everyone's problem? Huh.
Yeah.
And I think it lies on like a person's personality, because I don't know if Melissa can attest to this, but I feel like I'm usually more bold with people I like, and I'm usually the first person to be like, I like you, rather than being like, I don't know, they need to tell me they like me first. So maybe I don't relate so much to like I just don't want to tell them my feelings and they don't want to tell me theirs, but now we're forced in this room and like we have to share this bed, and okay, I guess like since we're already laying here, I'll say something. I'm usually more just like, I like you. So
yeah, I can't relate. Which is funny. I'm so bold in most areas of my life. That is not one of them. I want to be wooed. I want to be swept off my feet.
I do the sweeping.
I can't remember. I've been with my husband for so dang long that I cannot remember. It's just, I don't remember. No, you know what? Never mind. I don't know.
It's, it's born of taking a leap of faith, I think, and that's why I'm not the biggest fan of the one bed. Although I would rather have it than not have them ever confess their feelings, so I'll give a book that.
Okay, so how do you feel about the cuddling for body warmth not related to the one bed trope?
Love it. Only if it's survival only.
Okay.
Oh, it's never just for survival, Ellie. It's always between people that are.
I'm thinking about that scene with like Jon Snow and the wildling girl.
Oh yes.
And they're like, we have to like cuddle to be warm, but I'm like, you're in like 5 feet of fur, like width wise. You need to cuddle to be warm. But
that one really was straight up for survival.
Yeah,
because they still hated each other.
That's why it's okay.
No, you brought up a good example because when you were like, oh well, when it's for survival, it's fine, and my thought immediately went to, I've never read a book where it was pure, like, yes, it was needed, but they always were characters who were fighting their feelings, like either they didn't want them but had them, or they, like we were talking about earlier, like didn't want to be the first one to say it, so neither of them knew, like, but then you reminded me that isn't 100% of the time when that happens.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the scene in From Blood and Ash. That was like survival.
Ellie hasn't read that series yet. She's reading it right now.
It's okay. I pulled the headphones off. If you want to say something, go ahead and cue me back in.
You're good.
Okay.
I know what scene you're talking about though, and I loved it, but I love that. So I'm a big fan of the one bed trope and the snuggle for 50% survival, 50% because forced proximity. Like, that's my thing.
Okay, Elise.
So another thing, I mean, it's something Mary and I talk about a lot though, and I don't think it's controversial, but it happens in so many books, and it's the negative self-talking female main character. You know, when I was a teenager reading Twilight, I bought into that. But I was a teenager reading Twilight.
You're angsty.
Yeah.
I was angsty. And now as an adult, like, I really struggle. Like, like, oh, I'm just a meager blah, blah, blah. Like, I just can't handle it.
I can't. Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Hard. And actually reading ACOTAR at the beginning, I was just like, girl, stop saying you're just a human. I don't, like, get over it. Move on. Learn how to read. I don't care. So
learn how to read.
But weren't we all saying that? Just learn how to read, Feyre.
That's The Cruel Prince right now, and there is a lot of negative self-talk, and I just
do you guys not like it more so because like it portrays to the reader that like that's normal, and like we should all be thinking things like this about ourselves, but like encouraging that, but just it's like subconsciously, oh, they think that about themselves, maybe I need to pick myself more? Or is it just like I don't like reading someone else talking about themselves in such a way, and just get to the point where you're a strong character?
I mean, that's a good question. I think we definitely all have doubts. Even if we are strong people and mature people, we all have doubts. So I don't think like it needs to be erased completely from books. But it's when that is like the personality of the character, or they harp on those things so much, like that it's just not healthy. Like, it's okay that we have those thoughts, but if we're never like reflecting on those thoughts and trying to move on and grow from them, like you know, we're never gonna evolve.
What are you doing?
Like, what are you doing?
And it's kind of like what Melissa was saying earlier. We read these books because we want an escape from reality. So why would I want to sit there and read someone put themselves down for pages and pages and chapters and chapters? Yeah. Like, it gets old at one point, you know?
Yeah. Well, and like on building on that too, we're supposed to like buy into these characters. I'm not going to buy into someone who says that they're ugly and they can't do it, and they're just like constantly feeling defeated. And it's like, and I mean, I recognize that like that's what a lot of people feel like, and that's terrible. Like, but even like this is supposed to be most of the time it's women that do this too. I don't think I've ever read a book where the male felt like that, which is another thing that I hate, because one, men do feel like that, but also kind of like, I guess a little bit, Ellie, it really like continues the stigma of this is just how girls see themselves, and girls need a man to feel better about themselves, and they need someone to tell them that they're pretty because they don't see it in themselves. And it's that, not only is that like not, and I want to say, I don't think that is, I know actually that that's not the message that authors are trying to get across. Like they want to see like a 180 in their character and everything. Yeah. And that's awesome. But like, I think it's the length of time that they choose to write how like they feel like that. If it's just like a little bit in the beginning, that's one thing. But if it's like we're 60% in the book and they still are like, I just don't see how special I am. I'm like, okay, now it's turning into pick me. And that's super annoying.
There is a fine line of pick me, yes.
Yeah. And so I'm like, I'm not going to buy into this story or this character if we're 60% into the book and they still don't believe in themselves. Why should I believe in them either? Like, so I think it's just the length of time that it's done for also.
I will say Tessa Bailey does a very good job. She's a pure romance writer. Mm-hmm. She often has guys in that position, which does annoy me sometimes because I'm just like, okay, yes, I get it. You have trauma and you think lowly of yourself, but it's not that bad. Like, you're an adult now, you're not a child. But it is nice to get it from the guy's perspective instead of the girl's.
I'll have to check her books out because it's just, sometimes I like to read things different, and then sometimes I'll read something different and I'm like, wow, didn't like it. Cool. Now I know I don't have to read any more books like that. But I don't think I've ever read a book where, like you said, I'll have to check hers out because as what I can, in my initial recall, there has not been a story that I've read where it was the guy who acted like that or felt like that, like for an extended amount of time. I've read books where guys have like moments and stuff, but it's moments. It's not like this is who their character is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My next one, and I guess this is kind of like, I guess this could be tied into a couple other ones, but I don't like the fish out of water trope. So like, someone who's like so obviously doesn't fit in. So like someone who's really this is I don't know if it's a great example or not, but it was the first one I thought of when I was writing this. Like Virgin River. Have you guys either read the books or seen the show?
No.
Okay. So this is just like a premise. This nurse, really like big medical, went to like a really big medical school, whatever, like really city girl from L.A., goes through something, and then so she just wants to get away and moves to this really small town in Northern California. And it's the
every Hallmark movie.
Yes,
and I Heart Dixie. That's the same exact thing.
Yeah, and it's just, to me, I'm like, there's no shot. This girl was born and raised in Southern California, lived her life. So, and I know that trauma changes you. I will say, I believe that fully, but not in 24 hours. And like that, there's no shot someone could be happy living there. Like, I think they could be happy for a little bit, but I want to see a book from 6 years down the line. Is she still happy? I think she misses Starbucks. I don't think that this is really the life change that she was wanting moving up to Timbuktu, Northern California. Like, don't buy it.
Okay. Attacked, Melissa, because I am a city girl about to move to the country, and I am absolutely terrified.
Well, we don't buy it.
I'll let you know.
I'm manifesting that you're the exception to this.
Yeah, I hope so. Oh my gosh.
Not far.
I'm not that far from the city, but yeah.
It'll be fun.
And also, like, these books and movies and shows or whatever that do this, they're taking it to the extreme too. Of
course.
Yeah. So like, and that makes it worse. I'm like, again, let's add a little dose of realism in here. Like, okay, yeah, maybe she went super far away, but let's add in, she's only 20 minutes away from a mall. That is believable. Yes, I absolutely believe she could be happy in this small town. Like, she has close enough to something similar.
Is fish out of water always typically like the city girl goes to the farm or the farm girl goes to the city? Like, is that the environment what makes that trope?
I think that's a really common one. It could be the same for guys though too. Like the big billionaire son loses all his money and has to live as like
Schitt's Creek.
Yes, except that was satire and that was hilarious.
That's amazing.
I love that show.
Yeah. But I mean, if that was a legitimate show, if that wasn't just the driest of dry humor, and if they weren't making they were making fun of that situation. Like if that wasn't the case, I would feel the same way about that show too, because I'm like,
okay,
yeah, right. They made it realistic. Like they never fully loved it. By the end of it, they just kind of were indifferent. Like, and that's realistic.
But you have a good point, because the part that we see is like the new romance butterfly part, you know, of this new life.
Yeah.
We never get to see it beyond that. So it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
I never have finished one of those stories being like, ah, man, they're going to make it. I'm like, I can't wait to see the 10-year high school reunion equivalent, like, epilogue of this, and them, like, not that I want that for them, but it's like, they'd hate it at this point. Like, there's no way that you can make that big of a change that quickly, and then just for the rest of your life being like, this was my destiny. Like, no way.
So this is a trope I have a love-hate relationship with, and it kind of piggybacks off of what Ellie was talking about, the one bed trope being due to miscommunication, I guess. I don't know how I feel about the let's pretend trope. Like, let's
what fake relationship talking about?
Yeah, well, it's not even like a fake relation. Yeah, I guess it could be a fake relationship.
It could.
But like,
okay.
when we're together. So like the fake relationship, in my interpretation, is the outside view of like,
oh,
you know? But
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Like the inside view within the couple, where they're like, let's just, you know, pretend we don't actually have feelings for each other and like go along with all this, even though we really do.
So, the entirety of Reckless.
Could it be Fearless? Oh, is it Reckless?
No. Oh.
Yeah.
Is it called Fearless
hasn't come out yet. Fearless is the third
Reckless.
one.
Oh, I don't like that book.
But you know what? I have to say, and I also could be swayed from the audiobook, but I loved that audiobook.
It's funny. I didn't listen to the audiobooks of that, and I've heard so many.
As a die-hard fan, you absolutely must.
Well, so but here's why. Here's everyone buckle up. This is my hot take. I won't, because I don't like his voice. I know. He sounds like a high schooler to me. And like, while I understand Kai is 19, I know. That's where I'm like, I get it.
He's in high school? Did I miss that?
Yeah, they're
I don't know a 19-year-old high schooler.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, 18. Like, that's really not that big of a difference. Anyways, I don't want him to sound like a high schooler. I want him to, I want it to be like that. Hey, Farrah, I'm not gonna do this. Ignore me. That sounds just like a smoker. But like, I want it like the deep, like the I've been looking for you. Like, you know, like, and that's how I read it in my head. That was his voice. So I had a whiplash moment when I heard a soundbite on Instagram for the first time, and maybe I just need to listen to more of it. But like the little bits that I've heard from soundbites, I'm like, I don't think I want to listen to him tell me that story.
I've never heard it. I'm so intrigued.
I'd be curious.
I don't know if I've heard it.
I think I must have sent you, or maybe not, just to like spare you spoilers and stuff. No, I actually really loved his voice, and I love dual narration. Actually, this is really not your wheelhouse, ladies, because I know your preferences, but Butcher Blackbird was an incredible audiobook.
His voice?
His voice. And okay.
I don't we exclusively talk about fantasy, but I don't exclusively read fantasy. However, I will say I haven't read them yet. I just have them.
No. It's more because of your stance on spice.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
There's definitely long, spicy.
I just skim through it.
Well,
I still read the books.
In both books, you could just skip like chapters.
Yeah.
You're not like missing any plot there. But
yeah,
what they did in the dual narration is, because there's a chapter from the guy's perspective and a chapter from the girl's perspective. But let's say you're in the girl's perspective chapter and the guy has has dialogue. He will come in. Like the male voice actor will come in and say
that is a saving grace.
Yes. If I have to hear another woman try and be a man in these audiobooks, I agree. I love
that.
It's
the opposite for me. It's when the man tries to be the woman.
Oh, that
because
too.
I feel like every man does the same voice for a woman, which in my opinion, I'm just like, just say it with your regular voice.
Yeah.
Just say it. Because it feels so condescending to me when they're like, hello.
It really does.
And I'm like, that's embarrassing. I don't want to listen to that.
What I don't understand is you're already paying 2 actors to read this book.
Yes.
Just because the guy is reading the guy's chapter doesn't mean the girl can come in and say her 2 lines in her own voice. Yeah. And it just kind of like makes it more dynamic and immersive. And anyway, so
I love that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, even though you have the books, I would highly recommend the audiobooks because anyway.
I do like a dual narration in an audiobook. But I like that. I like you said, they're already paying for 2. You might as well have them jump in and just say their line when even though it's the other one's POV. Because I've listened to audiobooks. Have you guys read the fine print?
No.
I can't remember the author. I don't have glowing recommendations for that. It was another Grumpy Sunshine that I just didn't care for. But I did listen to the audiobook for it because it was just available on Libby and I planned on reading it anyways. And they did that. They had the guy narrate the guy's POV chapters and then a girl do her chapters, but they didn't do he would be like, Zara, I want some bread, like during his, and I'm like, this is embarrassing for you, really. Like, I feel uncomfortable listening to this, and this is so embarrassing for you.
Well, that's exactly how I felt with the Powerless audiobook, and I liked the guy's voice, but whenever he would put on the girl's voice, I'd be like, this is just such a missed opportunity. I don't know why this isn't a standard in audiobooks generally when you have a dual narration. It just doesn't make sense.
Did they have a girl do Payton's chapters, or did he just okay, I didn't know if it was just him the whole time.
All like Payton.
That's a lot of
POV. It's just him.
Well, I mean, most of these audiobooks, like Iron Flame, whatever, it's a girl doing not just Xaden but Tarn, all of them. And let me tell you, I didn't like Tarn in my first read through of that solely because of the narrator on the audiobook.
I love that.
Biggest mistake. Yeah, I'm not. She's fine. But it's just the way she did him, and to give her some credit, I don't know how else I would do a dragon either.
Yeah.
But what she landed on ruined it for me.
Well,
and
my feelings about her actually have to do more with her reading of the Caraval series than Iron.
She reads Caraval?
Yeah, and I didn't like that series, and I don't know if it's because of her voice.
It has to be, because we actually are going through it on our Patreon right now. We're going through Caraval, and I just finished it.
Caraval. In this house, we love Caraval.
In this house. No, but I think it had to have been her, because she's ruined parts of books for me. And when I went back and read them, it wasn't ruined. But listening to it, it was, it was Iron Flame. Who doesn't like Iron Flame? Me, because of the parts I listened to. But then when I went back and read it, I was so much more obsessed with the series because I wasn't listening to her being like, I chose you, Silver One. And I'm like, oh my word.
Fine.
And to be so honest, that's exactly what she said. I am impressed with myself. That was a very good.
I have to agree. That was a great presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Taryn voice, yeah.
Okay.
The thing is, an audiobook narrator can really make or break. I've even said for Cruel Prince, I'm completely open to the possibility that the audiobook narrator is the reason I'm not loving this series, because she makes the female main character sound like she's 12 and she's 17. And so even though she may have some juvenile thoughts and feelings and actions, I think that it's only heightened by her reading of the character. I don't know.
Yeah. To throw my thought into this conversation, have you guys ever watched Grey's Anatomy?
No.
No way.
No.
Add it to the list.
No, truly, I'm impressed. I don't think I've ever met someone, let alone two people that are friends at the same time, say no. I actually seriously am inspired.
I saw one episode, which was an episode where there was a poll that went through two people.
Two people? I know exactly what you're talking
about. Never again.
Yeah.
Well, on the note of that, there's this character, her name is April Kepner, and to me, she is hands down the most annoying character in the entire show ever to exist. Until the very end, I could not stand her. And
I think that's kind of the point, though. That's like who her character is.
They kept her for so long to be annoying. Anyways, the book Delirium, I think, is the one. She's the one who narrates it. And I knew right off the bat, I was like, this voice is too familiar and I'm already angry. And come to find out it's her. It's a 3-book series. The book was excellent. I couldn't listen to it. I've only listened to one because I cannot with her voice. It's done.
Well, to add some positivity into this conversation, let me recommend a series with a narrator that made it for me. And I'd like to present to you the Bridgerton series. I listened to all of them. Rosalind Landor is the name of the narrator. I don't know any narrators' names, but I remember hers because I am so impressed with her. And to be fair, I haven't looked her up. I don't know if she's British in real life, but she has to be. Like, if she's not, deserves whatever Emmy, whatever audiobook narrators, any kind of award they get, she deserves 10 of them because it's impressive. But when she does male voices, she does it in such a way where it's clearly still her talking, but it doesn't sound like she's trying really hard to be a guy, but there is definitely enough of a distinction for it to be like obvious that the guy is talking versus the girl. And to give her even 1,000 times more credit, there are 8 Bridgerton kids, and all the Bridgerton kids plus all of their spouses or whatever all have slightly different voices, and she's consistent with keeping them throughout the entire 8 books. Truly, she is a genius, and she should narrate every single book. But she was a really, really, really great fit for that series, and I would have liked it regardless, but I liked it even more because I chose to do audiobook for that one and because of how well she did.
Well, the woman who narrated Belladonna, also what you're describing, where she had a way of doing the male voice without it being like too deep of a register or whatever.
Exactly.
But my favorite audiobook narrator, I know like we're talking about tangents. We are so tangent, but Elizabeth Evans is just in a league of her own. She did all of Throne of Glass and Crescent City. She is absolutely incredible.
Yep, we've heard her and we love her.
There's also one, I can't remember her name now. She has a very unique first name. There's no way this is even close to what it is, but I want to say it's like Theodona. I'm going to laugh when I look we'll have to come back. I'll have to say something and like in the comments, or even like I'll have to look it up. But she has done, I can't remember now what the series is, but another one, she reminds me of Elizabeth Evans. I thought they were the same person until I looked it up and realized that the names were different, but they have very similar tones and they read really similarly as well. So yes, big fan of her as well.
All right, I'm going to bring us back.
He didn't even reply to Miriam's trope of pretend. We just went on an audio.
Oh, that's so true. Let's not,
I do hate that.
Let's bring it back. I agree.
Yes.
I didn't because it falls into miscommunication.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Fair.
I didn't. I don't know though. I also have to. Gosh, I'm so contradictive, and it's so annoying because I hate when other people do it. But here I am. But I also loved it. Like personally, like I just am a simp for the Powerless series. So like depending on how it's done, I still really like it. And then there's other times where I'm like, just stop. Like just don't pretend. Clearly you're into each other. Like just stop it.
Yeah. That's why I said I have really mixed feelings about it, because sometimes I'm just like, oh, but other times I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
you like each other. Let's just move
Yeah.
on.
I think I feel the same way, and just at the back of my mind, though, I'm constantly like, "Oh, this is so unhealthy. Like, why are we doing this?" You know.
But Elise takes things very literally and very seriously. Like she won't just go along with it for the sake of a book. She will constantly overthink everything.
Yeah.
Like, Ellie, I won't spoil this for you, but the first scene in From Blood and Ash completely flew over my head. I was just like, whatever. This is just the way the series is going to open. And Elise almost did not want to finish or continue reading the book because of the first chapter. And I'm just like, it's not that serious. And she's like, no, it is very serious.
Anyway, she constantly tells
me we have to break this down.
Yeah,
I love that insight though.
Yeah.
Listen, it made for a very interesting conversation. I kind of hoped she would hate the book overall because it just was fun to talk about it with two vastly different points of view. But she's like, oh, you want me to be miserable this whole book? I'm like, no, I don't want you to hate it that much, but it would be fun if we didn't agree. But yeah, she came around.
Yeah, I did like
the last time Melissa and I did not agree on a book was the Powerless series, and we had an entire courtroom situation about it, and it got
that was so
heavy.
much fun to listen to, I have to say.
Thanks.
I still have that gavel.
Okay. Well, for the sake of time, I'm gonna just rattle off my next 3. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. The tropes I continue to hate, and maybe this is all of them. I don't know. Do I hate tropes? Maybe I'm just like starving for something new, but it is what it is. It goes along. I can't remember if it was Elise or Miriam who said this, but the like girl that's really self-deprecating. It's kind of similar to that one, but it's the girl who's like so poor, but I'm so thin and beautiful, and I'm so tiny, and I'm so pretty, but I'm so like famished, and I can't eat anything, and I have no money, and then she becomes the hero. Can we move away and just be like, this girl's doing okay, and she's average, and she also became the hero. Although I will say, Melissa and I read an indie book recently where the girl was described like normal, but then like less than normal, and almost borderline like, this is mean, but like she was described ugly, and Melissa and I were both just like, why was she so ugly? Like, why did they do that to her?
No, really, so like I went back and reread her character description at least 6 times because I'm like, I have to be missing something. Like, I'm not saying generally speaking, characters are beautiful, and that's fine. Like, I don't have qualms with it. They don't have to be. It's not like a requirement for me to enjoy the book. But I was like, there has got to be something that I'm not understanding here.
Has to be redeeming qualities here.
She was described as having like dark circles under her eyes, white hair, pointy, like the pointiest cheeks and chin. I'm like, there's no world where I'm misunderstanding this, and this is a like they're explaining a very like unattainable standard of beauty. This is Coraline.
Like, yeah, this is well damn. Yeah.
One Dark Window. Have you guys read it?
I love it.
I have
6 out of 5 stars. One of my favorite series of the whole year.
Me
Loved
too.
it.
And Elspeth is a like quote unquote normal girl, and that's one of the reasons I really love that book is because we had an unremarkable. I don't think they ever said she was ugly or like not beautiful or whatever, but just personality wise and like skill wise and talent. You know, like she didn't have any special abilities.
She's just average. Yeah,
I really like that.
I did too.
I'm very excited to read it. It's next actually for me when I finish what I'm on right now. So
loved
fan.
it. It was so good. I said, okay, this one's really hot take. I don't hate this, but I'd prefer not to read it as often. And it is Enemies to Lovers. Let's just be lovers.
Let's just.
That's it.
I think you're just gonna have to deal with that one.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, last one. No, 2 more. Forbidden love when it's not actually forbidden. I hate that. I've mentioned it in the past. I just like when like the whole family, the whole country is at war and you truly cannot be with them, but you find a way, that's okay. But when the girls just like, for the sake of myself, I have no family and no one to hold me accountable, but I know that I wouldn't be okay with this, but I'm falling in love with them, but I can't because I just shouldn't. And I'm like, just do it. Like, no one cares. Nobody cares except for you. That's, I feel like, not forbidden. I just feel like you're just being stubborn.
Yeah, putting sticks in your own wheels.
Stubbornness is a tough one to read about.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think I have an issue with this because I know you're talking about Peyton.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking the same thing. But you know what? Peyton had her reasons, okay?
Ellie disagrees. Ellie doesn't think she does.
I will argue until I turn blue about how much that book is not for me. It's great if it's for you. I'm fine with that, but it's not for me. But I was actually talking about the book The Ever King. It's one I read recently, like earlier this year. And it was exactly that. Like nobody was stopping her. It's not forbidden, but she's like, I can't. And I'm like, you can though, but you can.
You're choosing not to, actually.
My very last one is, of course, characters losing their powers. Hate it, delete it, get it off my page, don't want it, never will, never have, never will.
Mm-hmm. We're going to have to circle back to this one in a little bit.
Yep.
Yes.
But, like, cosine to the nth degree. I agree with it so hard. And... yeah, I cannot wait to go on a rampage about how much I agree with you.
Is it when they lose their powers, period, or like they lose their powers and are okay with it?
If they ever gain their powers back, I'm fine with it. If they lose their powers, period, I will delete it from my mind.
Okay.
I also think it depends on, and I'm taking some liberties by speaking for you here, Ellie, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it also depends on the scenario. I know. The scenario surrounding them losing their abilities. Like 99% of the time it's sacrificial. Yeah. And it just feels like there also could be other ways. Like, I don't want to say to write in a loophole to where it's like they should have lost them, but then because they're super cool, they got to keep them. Like, it's like, why don't we just like have a different ending, like where no one has to sacrifice anything, and actually their powers are what saves the day? How about we do that? Like,
how about that? It's too predictable for some. I understand, like, the sacrificial part is the most common to lose your powers. Like, it always plays a part in it. And if it were me and it's between like, I'm going to lose my loved one versus I have to give up all my powers, of course you're just going to give up your powers. But again, it's not me. It's a character in a book. Write it different. That's it.
And make it a guy losing their powers.
Exactly. Yeah. It's always the women. It's always the women.
Always. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Well, the last one, we only have 2 left.
Mm-hmm.
And
oh yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so we'll just like go through them quickly as well. Touch Her and Die, we love to read in a book, but there's a TikTok that I saw recently of a girl being like, this trope makes no sense because in real life you'd go to jail.
100%.
So fair.
And so it just made me like stop and think. Yeah.
The reality of it is like, oh. And it's funny too because like in a book, and I find myself doing this all the time, but in a book, as I'm reading it, I'm like, yeah, kill him. Like, I get so like, yes, he touched her. He deserves to die, which is like monstrous. Like, who am I?
You'd like my friend Daniel. He is very similar.
Yeah, I totally agree. And once again, here I am contradicting myself because I'm just the girl who 20 minutes ago said, you need to add some realism into books. And now I'm going to say, I live by the phrase that like I would never accept the possessiveness in real life that I've come to crave from book boyfriends.
So true.
The possessiveness, the like exactly Touch Her and Die, the who did this to you, exactly all of those. Feral when I'm reading about it. But if someone did that in real life, I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm a strong, independent woman. Get out of here. So I'm just quite the walking contradiction.
That's fine. We all are. The last one that I absolutely cannot be convinced. I am not on board with this at all. I will never be on board with this.
I can't wait.
A bully romance.
Ooh.
I did not know it was a thing. I did not know people enjoyed this. I don't know what would bring you to the point where you would enjoy reading about someone being so horrible. Like somebody said, oh, but like Air of Fire was kind of, no, it wasn't. No.
He wasn't trying to romance her.
Yeah, but also he wasn't that much of a bully. Like he said some mean things, yes, but like I'm talking unrelenting.
He punched her in the face. That's so true. He did punch her in the face.
He punched her in the face.
But they were also like back and forth.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it was,
she held her own. She wasn't just this like meek victim. I'm talking about a book where the girl, like we'll just say the girl is a victim, and she is being incessantly harassed by the guy, and then somehow falls in love with him, or like he somehow secretly has been in love with her this whole time, and it's just the boy teasing you on the playground on steroids. No, that's a no for me. I don't care how you spin it. That is something you were asking us at the beginning. Is it because it, it's unhealthy or whatever, and like teaching us things? That is no bueno. Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah, if that's how you love, like that, I don't want any part in that.
And truly, I feel like part of what you were explaining, Miriam, literally is the extreme of Grumpy Sunshine. Like, it is. I'm not saying that like Grumpy Sunshine, they don't generally like bully them, but like, don't they? It's not as direct. They're not punching in the face like Rowan, but like they're being terrible. They're essentially trying to force the girl to push them away, which is a school like a boy on the playground. Like that's like that is exactly what you said. So
I just keep going back to The Cruel Prince, and I'm really sorry to be constantly hating on this book. And I'm pushing through. I'm at the last book of the series, so like I haven't given up. Like I have persevered. Yeah. I persisted. But like the bullying in the first book lasted so long, and it was so brutal. It was difficult. It was difficult to get through. Like there was life endangerment. It wasn't just calling someone a mean name or like taking them down emotionally. It was like physical. Anyway, can't do it.
I remembered when I was reading The Cruel Prince, it did not sit well with me. And I'm like, are we kidding? This is actually like the love interest. Are we for real?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I feel you. I agree.
All right. I have a handful left, but I'm only going to pick my two. I have two that I would just want to touch on. One is it was right in front of you all along. No, I don't like, no, I'm okay with like secretly knowing like that, oh, it's your childhood best friend and you shouldn't love them and like because it would ruin the friendship, like whatever. I'm fine as long as the feelings are acknowledged. It's when it's like at the 85th percent mark of the book, their eyes have been opened and they didn't see what they had right in front of them. Barf, gag me. No, you don't know them then, in which case this isn't as cute as you want it to be. I am not a fan of that. Like you should have recognized this.
I drive with glasses on, and because of my stigmatism, and at the end of when I park and stop the car and I take my glasses off, my husband looks at me every single time without fail and is like, you were beautiful the whole time.
Okay, but honestly,
Montana, you're telling me a wig is going to like change your identity?
Like, no,
nobody can recognize you.
She sounds the same. Yeah, exactly. She talks the same. She has the same like mannerisms, all that. But no, she has bangs and is blonde. Couldn't be. All right, and then my very last one is the girl who doesn't believe in love, which honestly that kind of ties into the like really negative like thing, because I feel like that's like a component of someone who's negative. It's like, I'm ugly, well, and good thing I don't believe in love. It's like a mix between that and pick me. Like no one doesn't believe in love. I don't care. I know you've been through some hard things, and I'm not saying it comes super naturally or easy for some people, but we are hardwired to like need like love others and to need that love in return. I don't for 1 second believe that you don't believe in it. BS. You just want attention, and I'm not gonna give it to you. I will not continue to read this.
I'm not gonna bite.
It is super picky behavior, which is so hard to watch. There's this girl on TikTok. I don't remember her name. I'll have to look it up. But she does like fake trailers for movies, but always plays like these obnoxious characters. So it's like a
Delaney Rowe.
Yeah, she's so good. I like hate watching them, but I can't look away. Like,
yes,
so
me too.
Pick me energy and like, anyway. Yeah.
Yep.
That's
100%.
I'll have to check her out. I haven't heard it. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for doing this with us. We had a blast.
This was a massive rant session. I feel like
I love it.
To like start sweating with us because like I have to tell you, I am perspiring when I get worked up about something. Like my whole body gets into it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
So do I. I constantly have pit stains when we're recording. So I'm right there with you. Let's get real personal. I am also sweating.
All the more reason to plug in on YouTube and watch instead of listen, everyone.
Exactly. It's a fun game. Try and spot the pit stain. That's what you're secretly playing in the background.
I hate that.
It's like a drinking game.
I hate that.
I know. Oh man. All right. Well, thank you guys again so much. We had so much fun and we should do this again sometime.
Yeah, when Elise finally finishes the SJM movie.
And Crescent City.
Yeah,
we need to.
First, exactly.
Yes. Oh man. All right. Well, I hope everyone has a great rest of your week, whatever day, month, time, year you're listening to this. And I'm terrible at signing off, so someone else every time.
If you guys want to join us on it, we always end the episode with "Let's get to reading."
I love that.
Let's get to reading.